Hi everybody, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are working on the John Deere 70 diesel. As you see, it's a 70 with power steering. Well, power steering is great, but with power steering you can also have power steering leaks. So we're going to look into this and address the problem today and show you what's going on. We're doing hay right now, and he said that he's noticed that it's running a little hotter than usual. Everything about that is being related to the hay dust is collecting on everything, not necessarily here, but inside of it. We've got power steering leaking out here, so then all your fins get clogged with oil and dirt. So it's important to spray these out to keep the tractor from getting hot and to do your regular and routine maintenance. So we're going through beyond regular routine maintenance and addressing this drip. It's just been sitting here parked overnight. That's a good amount of loss. So we're going to stop that from happening further and get this all cleaned up. Okay, so we've got the nose part taken off, just a couple of bolts, a couple people to slide it forward and up at the same time. So here you can see why it was running a little hot. This gets all clogged up because of the oil blowing around, and there's quite a bit of power steering fluid dripping here. So it's lost its capacity to be able to cool at this point, and it's important to keep it clean and keep it running well, especially this week. We are in high 70s to 80s the last couple days, and we're supposed to be into the upper 80s and 90s, plus we're doing hay, which is extra dusty, so it has got to be able to cool itself. So he scraped out a lot of dirt and oil and sludge that had been sitting down. The drain holes for the power steering were plugged? Yeah. Okay. So a good scraping. We got some warm Dawn dish soap in the bucket, but it's just way too much for it to start working. It's easier to start blowing it out. So I had to move away from other things so that we didn't get all the grime on the old Ford truck. We'll just let him get that all clean, then we'll start in on some more repair. Little chickie update. They are doing good. Everybody is growing. We have not lost one chick. This is just an absolute first. Even one guy tried to get himself stuck, and we were all good. So we've been letting it dry, and we were sitting taking a little break, just kind of looking at things, and from a distance he could see where the drip was coming from. There is a bad O-ring seal or gasket behind here, and you can just see it's just starting. So we're going to put a container under here. We're going to go ahead and take this out, drain the system, find out our gasket, O-ring, or seal that's behind there, and hopefully we'll be able to get a parts run out of this today and get it right back up. So if you remember seeing that shot before, this whole pot, even his plugs down here, this was filled. It was filled up to here with sludge, dirt, and oil. This was probably 40 minutes of power washing to get it this clean, even with the Dawn soap. I can smell the Dawn soap on it right now, and it's still a little bit caked on, so good needed job to be done.
This plug accesses a little adjustment screw in there for a bypass spring or something. So it has a quart gasket, and right down in the bottom is where that was. That's all that it was. It's just old enough to be switched. So that's so what happens is it started to drip while we're using it. Of course, the fan pulls all the oil, just scatters it all over the radiator, then all the dust from the hay stuck to it. And instantly, as soon as that started dripping, I started like 10 degrees warmer than normal for no reason. Well, that's the reason. So it was actually doing pretty good, but this had to be done before summer. So anyway, just that.
Okay.
Just maintenance thing. So mostly just a power washing job from a day or two of mess.
Yeah. So in his power washing, he found there's some threaded accessory holes down there.
Yeah. 2 are threaded and then the others are drains.
And then there's another set on this side. So if you know what the accessory is that goes in there, comment down below so that it can be shared information with other 2-cylinder people, because these things are fascinating and no 2 tractors seem to be alike, and no 2-cylinder owners and operators are the same either. Some people use them for work, some people use them for fun and parades. So we actually got into doing some organization of gaskets, gasket maker material a while ago, and he remembered that he had this. It's just a big sheet of gasket making material. So what he did was just draw it out and cut it. So no parts run, and the part is ready to go right back in. And with the cleaned out power steering fluid, he should do really well, because it was obviously gross and dirty and he didn't want to reuse it. So there's one thing about this tractor he wanted me to share with you, that ever since new, when we got this tractor, and not new in the 50s, but several years ago, this idle steering has always automatically rotated our wheels to the left. This whole assembly here is mounted on a rail system, and you can see a little bit here. Just very slightly, he loosened these 4 nuts and slid the whole thing forward just a little bit. And that helped align everything just right. So basically it's your front end alignment to help control where you need to be here. So after he did that, he got it all set and tightened up. Here's his homemade gasket in place. It is beautiful, working great, no drips. And look at that radiator now. It was completely clogged before, so that's gonna solve any overheating problems. No oil drips or anything. It got a good, nice bath all over it. So now this front nose assembly can go back on, but to get it off, they actually weld on the bolts, or the bolts that went through here. So he had to cut those off. So those are gonna get put back on. He's gonna tack weld them back in place, and that front nose will go back on. I wanted to show his bolts that he cut off. I didn't catch it before, but one of them actually snapped. So he bought some new grade 5s, grade 8s, and welded those on today, and everything's going back together. All of the body panels have these springs and bushings. They had incorrect bushings, so he bought a section of spring and he's gonna cut that to make his own. I assume it's to make the sheet metal not rub and whatever, so they're all going in here. But here's his brand new bolts, and those are spring and bushinged, or bushinged also, not springed. Well, the tractor is all back together. He adjusted all his springs, all his nose. Everything's all lining up the way it's supposed to with the proper bushings. And he started out baling for the day. So that is a fresh round bale of first cutting hay. He's been working on our far east field, and this is our east field that I just showed a little bit of last week. We're just going through, we're cutting the whole farm, doing it to round bale. It's really great for the cows for first cutting. The hay customers can be fussy about too tall or too stemmy. Even though we got a head start on it, it started to take off like crazy. The last couple of days it's been extra hot and dry, so it's a real good drying time for these bales, so that you're not having to feed anything that's too rich or anything we didn't run out of last year's hay, so they can sit, they can season, or cure for a couple more days before they're actually fed for feed. He's running out of baler twine, that's why he hopped off. We use these bikes, and this is the nice thing about the baskets. We just load stuff on it, run back, bring him back what he needs. So much faster than hopping in the car or getting the car all dusty in this heat. So he'll keep on at this for the day, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.